And then we can start. Okay, good. So this is the open discussion meeting number 10 with the topic low sugar practice. For everyone that is new here and attending on Zoom, there is the possibility to say something, and I would be very happy for discussion because that's the idea here. It's a discussion meeting. It's not me having a monologue. And there are a few different ways to say something. One way is to write. There is a chat. There is also a Q&A function. You can use both. It doesn't matter. And you can also raise your hand. And when you raise your hand, it means you want to speak. And then I switch it on that you can speak. And this is preferred from my side. Yeah, it's nicer to really hear people say something instead of just reading. And since the format, the technical things are allowing it, that would be really nice. Good. Yeah, some people here also that I know. That's very, very nice to see. Okay, so there is this new text about low sugar training or practice that I wrote. I think I will from now on call it low sugar practice. This is because, I don't know, I think it makes sense. Could be also low sugar training. Actually, it doesn't really matter. The initial video was called low sugar training. Then when I had talk with my friend Sasha, one of the guys that was asking questions there called it low sugar practice. And then I just thought, actually it suits also quite well. And this new text is goes a bit more into details, because the initial video is, let's say, a bit more vague, more an initiation into the idea. And now I wanted to discuss a bit more details about it. Yeah. Shall I read it again, or is everyone familiar with the text? That would be my question to the audience, because if all of you are familiar with the text that are now attending, then I don't need to read it anymore. So if you just give me a short glimpse here. Familiar with the text, familiar with the text, not familiar with it. Okay, good, then I read it if not everyone is familiar. Yeah, and then for the people that know it already, they can use it for a moment to think about it. Okay, low sugar practice. The following is to be said about low sugar practice. What is it? Sugar is meant metaphorically. The sweetness of sugar triggers an immediate reward feeling as soon as it touches our tongues. Because of this, we like eating sugar. The problem with sugar is that it distracts us from other foods that are less seductive. Bitter foods can seem even more bitter if our palate adapts to too high a sugar intake, which can, in extreme cases, lead to us leaving them out of our diets altogether. Low sugar practice, LSP, has the following characteristics. A1, it is a longer process. The goal is not quickly reachable. It takes time. A2, LSP often has no set end goals, but rather uses milestones. In this form of practice, one is never truly finished. There's no final boss to beat. A3, LSP has either gratification that comes rarely or more frequent gratification that has little sugar. In reality, it's a mix of both. How do I do LSP? B1. LSP can contain many different undertakings. Points A1 through A3 can assist in the orientation. One should look for greater difficulty by observing what one's skills and talents are and staying as far away from these as possible. Those with more mental strength can move further away from their talents. B2. Here are some standard examples for LSP. The principle applies as implied in B1. The degree of LSP-ness something has will depend on one's talent or talents and previous training in the chosen field. So now there's a list of things that are examples for LSP. Learning a language, especially one from a distant family of languages, learning an instrument, learning the handstand, writing a book, finishing studies in medicine, learning Tai Chi. B3. Generally, all kinds of things can be practiced LSP style. What matters is the approach. One simply needs to choose something that takes longer. That's the most fundamental thing in LSP. B4. LSP has different variants. Variant 1. Takes a long time and is difficult. Gratification is present. An example is the handstand. It takes months to learn. It's difficult to learn. One needs to use intelligent learning and training methods. There's gratification now and then, every time one unlocks a new level. For example, standing 10 seconds, standing 60 seconds, standing 10 seconds on one hand. Learning to play an instrument also falls into this category. The gratification here comes from flawlessly interpreting a piece or from having a flow when improvising. Variant 2. Takes a long time, is easy, gratification is present. Such undertakings can often be monotonous. At the same time, the meditative element comes into play. Examples are long car rides, working in the fields, cleaning up, hikes, bricklaying, etc. These activities require effort, but are not difficult in the sense that there is some riddle to be solved. Thus, unlike variant 1, there are no levels. However, the quality of performance can be improved. No new skill is learned, but rather the quality of already present ones is developed. A flow can be reached here as well. Furthermore, all the activities mentioned in the examples involve reaching a goal. Again, gratification can come on two different planes, through the reaching of the goal and through becoming absorbed in the moment. Variant 3. Takes a long time, gratification is not present. Variant 3 is a special variant. An example would be somewhat senseless tasks, such as spending hours counting grains of rice, without using the information for anything. In contrast to variants 1 and 2, there are no payoffs. Nothing is achieved in the end. If you think about it, of course, something happens. You train your ability to simply do without evaluating the sense of things or the meaning of things. This can support the performance of variants 1 and 2. In the end, the evaluation of whether something makes sense is, of course, a critical filter. It is, however, activated too soon in many people, especially if there's no instant gratification present. These people confuse meaningfulness with desire, or making sense with desire. This depends a bit on how you want to translate it from the German original. B5. There's also always the possibility to practice LSP when we encounter the choice between difficult and comfortable in our jobs or in our training. For example, the choice between shorter things and longer things. An example here is when one notices that one is always picking the easy tasks from the to-do list, circling around but never doing the less tempting things. LSP applied here would mean to work through the to-do list chronologically instead of going by one's desires, or even starting with the difficult stuff. self-observation is essential for this. Why do I do LSP? As has already been made clear, the point of LSP is our mentality. By learning the skill of coping with boredom, frustration, and the feeling of meaninglessness that arises through it, we gain freedom to act. The difficult becomes possible for us. LSP is the countermeasure to our ingrained preference of the comfortable, quick and instantly gratifying. Experienced low sugar practitioners develop the desire to eat the bitter, to be in the desert or in the winter. Okay, so that's the text about, so that was my phone. There was the text about LSP. There is a German original. Also, thanks to Oscar for translation. As I said already, there were a few moments where we felt it's hard to translate, which was especially the sentence, "These people confuse meaningfulness with desire," where the original sentence is, "Diese Menschen verwechseln Sinn mit Lust." Gut, I would like to discuss the topic. Who of you, my dear attendees of this discussion, has something to mention and to say, something to discuss about? I got something here that I will read out from someone. Send me an email. Okay, so variation 3. This is the variation that takes a long time and gratification is not present. Could almost fit as a description for a kind of dull office job or a very specified isolated task in any production chain. You're constantly working for many, many hours every day in some abstract thing for someone without seeing a result that makes sense. Okay, you get money at the end of the month as a gratification, but in a way that is another thing. Now the connection to low sugar training. When you sit and work in such a job all day, it can be a real challenge to then practice in a low sugar manner in the evening. You just want to sweat or feel your body immediately. You're mentally drained in a way, and thus also physically, even if you didn't use your body at all. I experienced this myself, and I can imagine that many people feel like this and thus prefer consuming a sweet follow-along workout after their workday. So, what can we change? The job, timing, organization of the training? Or as a teacher trying to show the sweetness in the bitterness, the hidden fascinating aspects in the practice that we sometimes don't see on the first view? Any further ideas? Let me know if any one of you wants to say something about this. I would say that this is not necessarily variation 3, because it's maybe a variation 4 that is, maybe it's a new thing that is not in the text. Because let's say if you're in a production chain, there's definitely, maybe gratification is not the right word here, but there's definitely something happening. Yeah, like you are part of the production process. Let's say you're in a production chain where a computer is created. And maybe you are pretty much in the beginning of the chain, so you don't see the end of it. You don't see the computer finished. And I need to say I have no idea how it really happens in an assembly line, in an assembly line chain. But it's definitely an isolated task in a way that, I mean, you are part of a bigger piece, but you're always doing the same thing. No, that's the efficiency of the assembly line. Because you get specialized into one certain move, let's say, and thus the quality of what you're doing might be higher, and very likely the speed is higher. But what might suffer is your feeling of of a work that makes sense, because it's harder to put it into the bigger picture as you're just one small piece of the puzzle of the assembly line. If your task would be to put a computer together completely with all the separate pieces, every time you finish a product, you would have, in that sense, a gratification. I finished the work. It's a work that is then still repeating, because then you have to assemble the next computer. But at least you have like small moments where it's like, okay, one finished again, one finished again. And in an assembly line, you might not have this feeling, because the move that you're doing might be anyway just a few seconds. So you could say you have a gratification in all the time, but it will most likely actually not be present anymore then. But yeah, more of a low sugar feeling. But in the end, you're still part of an assembly chain that makes sense, because in the end there is something happening from it that makes sense. Whereas in the example of variant 3, something like counting rice and then just mixing the rice again with other rice or something like this, there's really nothing coming out of this. There's no, in that sense, no useful goal. Like, you don't do anything with the number. You don't do anything with counting the rice. Jan, you want to say something? Now it should be possible.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, nice. I just want to mention that for him, maybe it's like the rice. So he plays a part to complete a computer, and for him it's nothing. It's like counting rice. He saw that computer again and again every day, and he will never use it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what I know what you mean, but I would say he's still part of a, like, still someone is using the computer. Still the computer is like going to the next step and is sold and someone will use it. It would be completely different if, let's say, he assembles the computer and then the computer is thrown away.
Mm-hmm.
But something is happening with it. And this is different from the rice counting example.
Okay. Yeah, but to him it's still nothing happening to him or her. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just from his perspective or her perspective, it's like counting rice. That's all I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can understand this, because what does it help him if someone in Australia uses the computer? Then doesn't matter to him.
I wouldn't say that. It matters because it you know that the work that you're doing actually has a sense, because other people are using the work that you've done. You did some work and you assembled the computer, and then the computer is used. I think it makes a huge and enormous difference. And this is also the topic of David Graeber's work about bullshit jobs, that many people have the feeling that their job makes no sense. There's really nothing happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I think I would probably not. I wouldn't think that it feels meaningless to someone standing in an assembly line. You know, it feels dull. Yeah, it feels not very stimulating, and so on and so forth. But as long as you're producing something that is actually used by other human beings, and that makes sense.
Yeah, I understand you. I understand what you mean. Yes, it's
maybe
something of both, I think. Something of both, maybe. Sometimes you can use this thinking to explain what you're doing, and sometimes you just think you are just counting rice corns.
And yeah, and I can imagine would also happen more, let's say, if you're assembling something where you have also the feeling this is nothing necessary. Let's say you assemble some gadget that is just in the end completely useless, I don't know, nothing really comes to my mind now, but nothing like a computer, which is clear has very wide use in society. But let's say some sort of toy that breaks very quickly and it's just super low quality and nothing to be proud of that you made it. It's just in a sense waste that is then lying around on this planet. I could imagine that, especially in something like this, there could be this feeling like, okay, I'm just like counting rice here, but at least in the end I get paid for it. Like, it doesn't feel meaningful, it doesn't make sense because no one needs this product. Yeah, in that sense, it's a bullshit job. Yeah, but why many people in the Western world, like in other parts of the world, is obviously a completely different story. But in the Western world, can be also in such jobs, although there could be in other jobs, because in the book Bullshit Jobs by David Graeber, it's a lot about office jobs, is the payment, is that people still do this, let's say, counting rice jobs because they get paid in the end of the month.
Yes. Yeah, they count rice to not count rice in their free time. In their free time. In the end.
That's nice. That's a nice. Yeah, that's nice. Cool. You wanted to add something else?
Me?
Yeah.
Not yet.
Okay, then because Simon or Simon wanted to say something. Okay, now it should be on. Yeah.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, nice. Like, I wanted to say that it's not about the objective meaning, but it's pretty subjective. So it's like how you perceive it, like how you see the meaning in the work you're doing. And for this, I think Jan it's probably right. Like from an objective standpoint, when you're doing something useful, it's meaningful. But when you don't see the use in it, like because your eyes are not opened to this, then it's like exactly the same like counting rice.
Mm-hmm.
Like you are creating the meaning, or like you are giving your task the meaning.
And you, okay, yeah. Okay, so the point is that you don't see the use of it.
Yeah, when some people don't see the use of it,
Yeah.
it becomes counting rice.
Okay. Yeah, I understand. Okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense for me.
Just what I wanted to add.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, thanks for clarifying this for me to the two of you. I'm still thinking if there should be another variant. If there should be a variant number 4, I will for now put your mics off again, but you can switch them on when you want to say something. If there should be a variant number 4 that is maybe even more specific to this scenario, because I'm wondering if variant number 2 would fit. Variant number 2, just as a reminder, is takes a long time, is easy, gratification is present. Okay, no, it doesn't really fit, huh? Because the Mareike wrote the remark here about the variation number 3, also wrote that it could almost not just assembly, not just production line, assembly line, but also a dull office job. Office jobs have such a high variety, no? So what is a dull office job that would fit into variation 3? Sounds to me also, yeah, again, something that is very close to, or that is actually a bullshit job. And I really recommend to read this book by David Graeber. So bullshit jobs are jobs that where the person that is doing them has the feeling that when this job wouldn't exist, the world would be completely the same. In a sense, there would be, there would be no difference at all. So they're very, very interesting examples in this book. And the one that has stuck with me the most was actually an example from Germany, where a guy is like a IT security guy or something like this, and the company he works for is employed by the German army, and he often drives like 500 kilometers to a place, to an office of the German military, and then goes into an office, packs one computer into a box, walks 20 meters to another office, unpacks the computer there again, puts it all on again, and then he drives home another 500 kilometers. So this is obviously a job that any person that is there in the office building could do, but for some bureaucratic reasons, this is not what's happening. And this person has the feeling that it makes no sense what he's doing. If he wouldn't do this job, the world would be completely the same, because it would be just actually more efficient. The world would be actually probably a better place, because less energy is wasted of someone just driving around. But obviously he's doing it, staying doing it because he gets paid.
Okay, that's crazy.
Yeah, then there are many interesting examples in this book. I really recommend reading it. It's very funny read, very serious and very funny at the same time. Okay. But any one of you has an example of a dull office job that would specify for variation number 3? I think there are thousands of examples. Just I would like to hear if someone has something like very clear in mind. And Simon, you were, or Simon, you were writing, what do you think are kinds of low sugar practice everybody should be doing? I'm thinking about the same kind, some kind of stillness, meditation, and joint health for sure. Okay, we will discuss this in a moment. Just stay for a moment here at the remarks from Mareike. That because the main thing that she remarked was, so when you have a job that is in that way very hard to do, not because it's complicated or difficult, but just because it drains, in that sense, your energy is so dull, boring, there's no gratification, it feels meaningless for you, it feels it's bullshit. And then when you get out of, when you have your free time, that maybe you are drained from doing such dull things, you want to spend your free time mainly with more sweety things, more sugary things, and don't want to go, let's say, to a meditation class or something like this, but more to a wherever it pulls you, maybe like a CrossFit class or body pump or something like this, where there's not so much thinking, but it's more doing, following along. And then the question, so what can we change? I think it's like a question not to answer, no? The job, timing, organization of the training, or as a teacher trying to show the sweetness and the bitterness, the hidden fascinating aspects in the practice that we sometimes don't see on the first view. Yeah, Jan?
Okay, I guess you never find the answer by yourself. So you need to speak to everyone around you with the same problem. Maybe you have in the office a worker, a friend worker. I don't know the English meaning. That has the same problem, and you together you find something out, or as 3 people, or with your chef, and then after work you want to work out, and maybe in your workout class someone has the same problem, and so on and so on. Like you just ask it here on the internet and so on, and maybe hope for an answer for yourself. I think you only can get the answer with someone else that has the same problems.
Good. Yeah, it's a difficult situation, because I fully understand that when someone has a job that would fit this description, that he would be more prone to, after work, to go into like enjoying yourself in that sense, Although I think there's also the opposite. I think there are also people that have such a dull and in a sense robotic job and then want to go into something very deep after, where they feel, okay, here I'm really developing myself. It's really something like a process that I'm going through, and not in that sense the same thing, just with a different taste, you know? Because if I am in variation 3 the whole time in my job, and then I go to a high sugar thing, in this combination, it's in a sense the same, the two sides of the same coin, because nothing is in the end happening. You're not, in that sense, developing. Not that this is an imperative. It's not an imperative to develop yourself, but just in talking about this idea, about this practice here. So because you're in a job that doesn't require any development from you, and then you go to do things in your recreational time that are also probably not such good developers, because that's the problem with the sweet stuff, that they are shallow, or they can be shallow, let's say, and that the deep things, and this is the claim, this is what I claim with the low sugar practice, that to dive into deeper things, diving into deeper things will mean that you encounter this, at least low sugar moments. So I would assume there's a high variety of people in dealing with this situation. There are people that will go to more high sugar things, people that are going to more low sugar practices, and so on and so forth. And Mareike has also mentioned here this thing, showing the sweetness in the bitterness, that this is something a teacher or a coach or whatever trainer can also talk about and show then, yeah, the nice thing in the moments of struggle or difficulty, and so on and so forth. Yeah, let's say you do meditation and you feel it's difficult, but can the teacher help the people that struggle with this to realize, in this difficulty, this difficulty is very interesting, and actually this interest in it makes it more sweet in that sense. Jan and Simon, you also wanted to say something, I think.
Yeah, like I once read a quote which really stuck with me, that something is just boring when you are not paying enough attention.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah.
And that's a very beautiful quote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what else stuck with me, like, or what idea I got, like a good starting point maybe for those people in those jobs, or like depending to the email from Mareike, is that you don't start to separate the life so much. Like I think a lot of people are like separating the life, like this is work and now this is free time, and then they like want to make up for the time they had to work, like it's some kind of lost time, and want to press all the other stuff in their evenings or their weekends or their holidays, but like to like not live those extreme highs and lows, but like more of a baseline, like doing low sugar stuff every day, but living healthy and on a good baseline, and not like go out fully and then like being in some kind of sadness or burned out feeling afterwards, but like to be a bit more stoic in life.
Mm-hmm. It also sounds like you mean like to have also a certain this like this quote that you mentioned, that to have a certain attention about like
Yes, yeah,
all the time. Let's say a certain mindfulness maybe also.
yeah.
Nice, good. And Jan, what did you want
Yes,
to say?
to add, it's like Simon says. He wanted to. I wanted to say in my comment before. I wanted to say that you can ask your yes, Umfeld. Is das
Your
Umfeld?
surroundings.
Your surroundings for help and so. Maybe you can modify then the job. So you that the job isn't that exhausting anymore and draining anymore. That's what I meant. And Simon, I guess it's something like Simon said.
Yeah, like Simon said, yeah, that you yeah, you build your normal day life, so it's like more constant and not so many ups and downs.
Exactly. You
Modify, yeah.
modify
I think,
it the way you need it.
yeah,
And
that's a
in
good
every
expression.
part of your life. I know it sounds utopian or extremely difficult. It is.
Yeah, I was also this was also now coming to my mind. It sounds utopian, yeah, but a positive way. But it sounds.
But you don't need to fulfill it fully. You know, you don't need to fulfill it fully. If you don't get it strict, don't harm yourself. Just try
Yeah,
it
it's
every
like
day.
about
Try
the direction where you aim. Yeah.
Really, yes. And you never reach a goal in this direction. You will never reach the goal. But if you keep that in mind, it's easier to go one step and one. It's like all the LSP practice. So if you take it for your whole life, just then you never reach a goal, but maybe you can get a milestone and so on, and then you look back and see, that milestone was back then. It was so far away, but now I reached it, and now I'm one step further, and next step will be one step further, and so on and so on. It's the oldest mentality human has, I think, because when we were collectors and hunters, they needed to do that all day. I don't think they philosophized so much about how do I get the next mammoth, or how I will kill the next tiger around the corner or so. They just go the step, and then they killed it, they survived, and then they will kill the next one, and so on, or collect the next strawberry. That's all.
Yeah, I think the problem why it has a bit the utopian touch is maybe that many people are, in a sense, everyone is part of a system, you know, like no one is in that sense isolated, because let's say when you change something in your approach to life, it will also affect other people. And then it depends also if you are in a setting, or what is the difficulty of your setting, of your system, to do the changes that you want to make, because your surroundings, your environment are very, very important in forming your behavior and your habits. And in that sense, if you are, let's say you work in a big company, or you just work in a company that has like a certain way of working, and this way of working is very dull, or it feels very meaningless, or whatever, or if it's an office job or assembly line example. For me at the moment, it feels like you would need to, or you need to take more people into your boat. You know, what came to me now was, okay, I'm at the assembly line, working there, and we together as workers are, let's say, lifting a mood a bit, you know, making sure we are focused and concentrated, but at the same time having good talks every hour, or whatever, you know. But it could be also that you are in a system that doesn't allow that, because it's very dictatorial. Like, you know, there are just rules that wouldn't allow it, and I would just lose my job, because I'm maybe not in a country that is in that sense as free and enlightened, you could say, as Germany or similar countries, but where the ways of, or the approaches of work, especially for employed people, are much more draconian.
Yeah, but then there's still like, it's like you always get the freedom, like how you do the stuff. And that's stuff like where Viktor Frankl is writing about, and also like the old Stoics. And I have in mind now a quote from Marcus Aurelius, who asked himself, or like one of the questions he asked himself, like, does what happened keep you acting from like in a justice, self-controlled, honest way? And I think you can do every task in work like with those virtues in mind.
Okay, if you talked about other countries, so I immediately thought about clothing, bla, wie heißt es?
Sweatshops, ja.
Ja, Näher, also Näheren und so.
Sewers,
Sewers,
yeah.
So I guess they won't ever think about something like this, also they won't even bother it. They won't even think about, is it useful or not, or what the hell am I doing, or so.
Because their objective is different. Like they often more want to like in Gänsefüßchen survive, or like they work to get some money for the family and like nowadays in our Western culture, like work shifted so much, and we are not just working like because we must, but like in some kind of like work is such a big thing for our identity, and we are like binding our self, or like like work is a big space like where people get some sense of self out there. And I think this is the difference. Like the sewers, for example, they are not thinking about this kind of stuff, because they think about like, how do I get something to eat? And we are not thinking about how do I get something to eat, because you can go to the supermarket and buy buy a packet of rice for like 30 cents and like nearly live a week on this. So we are kind of handling different questions there.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I think, yeah, they have their problems on the side of the world. We have ours, and I think we can't place them hier gegenüber. We can't
compare them.
compare them to each other. It's completely different stories. It's crazy. So you can talk about or we can talk about this. Yeah, it's sorry. It's just too personal, I think, for everyone. For everyone, it's another thing.
But the mind is the same in that
mind is
sense,
the
no?
same.
The situation is completely different. I would definitely agree with you both that it's in the sense is a problem that we have, you know, is a problem because we are in such a high sugar environment in that sense. And maybe let's not go further into the comparison of the different places of the earth, because I think it would take like a long time to dive deeper into it.
Yes.
But I just wonder, you know, if there's also in that sense similar things happening, even if you are in a survival state, you know, if there even there, let's say that the mind is tricking us into things because they are more sugary, although in a survival state, of course, it might make more sense to follow them or not. Like it's tricky topic, but let's not lose ourselves too much in that for now, but get back a bit more to the practical things of, let's say, our society. Maybe I use now I go a bit away from this email and go to what Simon has wrote. What do you think are kinds of low sugar practice everybody should be doing? I'm thinking about some kind of stillness, meditation, and joint health for sure.
Like that's especially the stillness meditation part. I think it was something which was so built in our lives. Like you always had moments where you had time to reflect or nothing to do but just wait. And and I think this is like something for the self-regulation of the whole system of you as a human, that you have those moments on times to reflect and be still. But with all those noise and sugar out there, when you don't like implement some kind of stillness practice, you are completely lost and you have no chance otherwise than injury or trauma to recognize that you are so lost, because there's no time for this and no space.
I would say that the stillness is before the low sugar practice in that sense. Because the definition that I thought of for low sugar practice because in LSP, this is A2. LSP often has no set end goals, but rather uses milestones. In this form of practice, one is never truly finished. There's no final boss to beat. But what it implies is that there is, in that sense, milestones that we can achieve. And I would say that the stillness, or I would need to change the definition, which I would also have no problem to do. But the stillness, in that sense, you could say the milestone is that you can do it longer or something like this. Yeah, or that you're more still. You know, but it feels for me like something that is a bit before, like the idea of the doing nothing. In that sense, it's you know, it's like it is a practice, but on the other hand, it's also in that sense not a practice, because you're not practicing anything, you're just doing nothing, or you're just sitting there in stillness. That would be also, in my opinion, before a more sophisticated meditation practice where you would search for enlightenment, for example. But it's like a bit of
that doing nothing and stillness is like the base, or like the prerequisite for the rest of it. And if you don't have it, I think it's really hard to like not be just thrown around by like different stimuli, be it internal or external.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is this pause, the moment of pausing.
Yeah.
That allows us to make decisions more clearly.
Exactly. Yeah. That's nice.
Good. Yeah, for me also something to write down. I would want to implement into the text. Okay, so yeah, I would definitely also say that this is something very, very important. With joint health, you mean something like what I would call SROMP, or like joint mobility, no? Like circling the joints, or
like some kind of joint hygiene. Like you're brushing your teeth every day, and it's not fun all the time, and so you have to do something for your joints every day. And otherwise, don't be surprised if you fuck yourself up.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a good point to have this as one of the embarking points, one of the basic practices. Yeah, like taking basic care of your joints, moving them through the full range, at least a few times per week. Let's say, yeah, it could be daily, but it could be also something like 3 times a week for, I don't know, an hour each time or something like this. Like I don't want to ask too much from everyone, because yeah, people are very like doing lots of things already in their life. But this could be definitely a good thing. Yeah, everybody should be doing. Yeah. Stillness as a base to do the low sugar practice. Keep taking care of your joints. It's something like brushing the teeth can be even this. Like, for example, I said already in the talk with Sasha, I hate brushing my teeth. For me, it's definitely low sugar practice, and it is. Which version is it? Variant number 2. Takes long, is easy. It takes 3 minutes. Very long. It's easy. Gratification is present, because I feel nice. I feel good. I did it. Another day brushing my teeth in my life. Laura, you wanted to say something? Should be possible now.
Yes. Hello.
Hello.
I wanted to say that what I notice is that with like what comes up for me when thinking about low sugar practices, that it kind of builds the inner being, that it builds character and kind of inner strength. And also I'm imagining inner space of holding more uncomfortable feelings, or And then I think with all the variations, like with the first two variations, you have other gratification as well, or with the first one, you get somewhere. And with the rise, you just can't rise. There's nothing happening, but there is this building of the inner being, of patience, or somehow, tolerance to boredom, which then I think connects for me to a certain inner peace, being grounded, and not constantly needing stimuli in order to feel good, and feeling bad if the stimuli are not there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you, Laura. Uh-huh. Good.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, it's very important to get the state of mind, I think. I had it by myself before, let's say, half a year ago. I was watching way more television and playing computer games and things like that. And then I tried to be silent, and it was very difficult for me. And it became easier every month or so. It was just easier. Then I noticed, oh, it's easier someday. And my question to and it's very important to feel it by yourself once, that it's going to be easier, and it's really fun and it's really enjoyable, but to be silent and this stuff. But sometimes I can't hold myself, so I need to watch like Twitch stream, someone playing computer games. I need to watch him.
Mm-hmm.
And to relax by this, from my relaxation. And I guess it's like a muscle. You can train this, but someday you'll be overreaching, or if you go further than overreaching, you maybe come to overtraining, and then you need more rest time than before. Yes, I hope I make it clear.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. Good. Yeah. I guess many people have the same experience, like you are talking. Right? It's in a sense this experience is a brother of the experience that Mareike has talked about of people in variation 3. It's very different, but it is a brother or sister of it, because both has these moments where you feel like, okay, now I need something else. It is in this sense already in my life present, the low sugar experiences. And now, I want something that is also passive. Is also, I think, passive, maybe more coming in, like things are just coming in. I don't have to do much, but still it's a stimulus. This reminds me of in Goethe, in his autobiography, he writes a few times about dullness. He writes how he was in the evening meeting usually some girls, and it was often like he writes about how it was about making the evening less dull, something that we don't have so much anymore because it's so easy, no? Like with the especially with the digital, and especially for people that don't rely so much on meeting other people, that can just, like you said, like switch on whatever, like a movie or whatever it is. and suddenly the dullness is gone, which we now also realize how important it also is, the dullness in our life. Yeah, but as you say, is as also like, it doesn't mean that now whole day low sugar practice or dullness and doing nothing and so on and so forth. And that it's not to say that it's wrong to have this moments or this time in our life where we just want to be entertained, where we just want to enjoy ourselves and so on and so forth. Not at all. So it needs to be balanced.
And
life. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not so much about like never getting lost in this stuff, but recognizing it. And maybe you recognize it like after an hour that you got lost in like, I wanted to get stimulated again, and not just like after 5 hours or 7 hours. So like the recognizing point that you're like kind of lost or just stimulated now, I think that's the important point. It's not about never getting lost.
Yeah, I think I think what you mentioned here is also what is your feeling after, like after I went into something like, let's say you got lost on YouTube or something like this. How's your feeling after? Do you feel like, okay, yeah, that was good. I'm happy about this time that I spent there. Or is it like the feeling like, what happened? What happened to me? Like I was like, yeah, like something pulled me. Like I was not the captain of my ship anymore for a time. And I think this is also a big problem of the digital world, because as we know now, the digital world is like things like YouTube or Facebook are architectured in a way that this is happening. And this is what the guys from this Time Well Spent initiative talk about, no? Like the people around Tristan Harris, who was like he was like the main protagonist in this whistleblowing, you could almost say, like, oh, look, like they're actually designers and software engineers that try to trick us into spending more time on social media than we actually want.
Yeah, Rafe Kelly was talking pretty interesting about like stimulation versus nourishment. And like he made the example with like food, like when you wanted to like in the old days, when you wanted to eat something sweet, you had to go out and find it. And even then, when you wanted the sugar, you had all the water and the fibers in it. And nowadays, like the stimulating thing got extracted from the nourishing thing. Like now you can go in the supermarket and just buy some sweets and get this sugar taste, but there's no water and no fibers and no vitamins with it. And the same is like true for like this dullness or wanting to get stimulated. Like we human beings, we have a need for connection. And when we then go online, we get this kind of this need for connection, satisfied, but like on a really surface level. Like all the nutrition is missing, like to touch other people, like to see what everything, like the mimic and gestic. And this is like the dangerous part, like the stimulation, like the nutrients went away from their like the taste is not binded to the nutrients anymore.
Yeah, good. Yeah, because the theory is also not that sugar is very, very much not so present in a natural environment, and that's why it's so we are so much craving more of it. So if there's sugar, we want to eat all of it because it's just not present as much. And now as we change the world according to our needs in that sense, it is overly present. And yeah, as I said already, like there's nothing wrong in eating in sugary things in a balanced way, but it needs to be in a balanced way. And then I can also like eat my chocolate, let's say, sweet chocolate, and have the feeling like, nice, this is completely like, this is in balance. Yeah, I don't eat all the time chocolate, but okay, now with also knowing all the consequences, like, and knowing also it's just, okay, this will provide a nice feeling, a nice taste, and so on, and I really enjoy it. Blah 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 blah. But for this, it needs to be in the right balance. And when we have the feeling we lost control on ourselves, then this is also when the balance is off. Oh, I eat like the whole chocolate. I just wanted to eat a piece. I just wanted to like relax a short moment, or with a few YouTube videos, but then it became 2 hours. Yeah, or I wanted to train handstand, which is definitely a low sugar practice for many people. But then I just did dancing or something like this. Not to degrade the other thing, but just to say, yeah, it is also a bit about controlling ourselves. And I would say, in German, I would say Unverführbarkeit. Yeah, Unverführbarkeit. So the ability not to be seducted by things.
Yeah, I think in English the concept is called self-regulation.
Self-relation.
Self-regulation.
Self-regulation.
Yeah,
self-regulation. Yeah.
The thing is, I discovered for myself, if I just, for the example of YouTube or Twitch, if I go on these websites and I just going around, clicking around, then I take much more time than if I make a plan what I want to see before I visit the website. I think before I visit the website, I want to see Joseph Barth's workout dry. So then I go on the workout, and then I turn it off. If I just go for YouTube and let's say I want to hear music, I go with the feeling I want to hear music, then I click on one music link, or even not that, and I immediately click on one fitness or something else video, and then I click through YouTube. That's what I discovered for me.
Mm-hmm.
I need a plan. I need a plan,
Yeah,
like in shopping for your nutrition. The plan, it's again, it's low sugar practice to make a plan and then strictly go for the plan. It's annoying, but I guess our world needs that for us, because otherwise we are seduced. It's seduced, huh? It's we are seduced. We can't we can't handle it. I think we need this something, a plan.
I think that's a very, very good point. It's like don't go hungry and without a plan into the supermarket, no, because you will not necessarily buy the things that you would usually buy. And this reminds me of something I wanted to publish at some point, but I never did yet because it's started also to be not very important anymore in my own day-to-day life. But it's very similar to what you said, it is before you use any digital item where you can do 10,000 things like your phone or your computer, before you like grab it into your hand or switch on the computer or bring it to working from standby, know what you want to do and have like in that sense like a one-step approach. Let's say, okay, I need directions, like I need directions to the supermarket or something like this. Boom. Okay, so I know what I want to do. I take the phone, I look for directions to the supermarket, then I switch it again on standby, like the screen is black, and I put it away. Yeah. And then there might be another thing happening where it is, and there is this also what I wanted to do. Okay. Do I do it? Yes, no. Okay, I do it. Boom. I do one thing and then I switch it to standby again to learn to stay with the task that you actually want to do and not like hop from one into the next one. And this, like you said, can be done, like this would be one variation, or you could just work chronologically with a plan, or a combination of both. And this is especially for people that let's say that have more time. Like as I said, for me, like I did for some time, I did this practice, but now with 2 kids, I have very little time anyway, and I have actually quite an easy time to focus because of this, because my time is so little that I feel I need less tools to focus. So one thing to focus more, I feel, is also to have very little time. Yeah. So it seems like, because we talk now about things, about many different things, like that this low sugar practice has a lot of connection points, like to our daily behavior, what we're doing, how we live together with other people, how we work, and so on and so forth. And this point B5 in the text, B5, I think, for like on the practical point, that's maybe the important point that I want to that I integrate later into the text. I wrote the text and then like a week later I wrote this extra on B5 because I realized this is where low sugar practice is actually integrated into the daily life, is when with whatever you're doing, because you always have options of what to do next, you just realize, okay, I have this and this and these options, but I don't choose the easiest one. No, I don't choose the one that is in that sense either easy and instant gratification. But I look for, okay, what is the actual next step that makes sense without thinking about how difficult it is and what is the gratification level, but just about what makes sense to do next, to do what I want or need or must do in my life. Okay. Yeah, now it's 1:20. So I think it's good. I think it's good for today. If anyone has some final thoughts, I'm happy to hear them.
Yeah, we talked about the stillness part and like the joint hygiene and health, like as some form of low sugar practice everybody should be doing daily. And is there other stuff which is coming to your mind at the moment which also fits in those categories?
Yeah, I was thinking about, like the joint health. I would actually not even say that it's like, I would say it is a nice thing to do daily, but I wouldn't say that is something you have to do daily, because some people can take care of their joints in like, for example, they just dance You know, they just switch on music and they dance. And
Yeah,
it's in that
yeah.
sense high sugar. So it doesn't need to be a
Yeah.
low sugar thing to take care of it.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, I was thinking of what are the daily important things, and I would say this practicing this B5 here in the text, like this, when there are several things on my table that I can do, to choose in the way that I just said, because this is already low sugar practice, and I would say that this is something. Yeah, I think I would be okay in saying everybody. I would let's say propose to everybody to look into this, because I don't want to be too strict, you know.
Imperative.
You should,
yeah.
too much imperative, like you should do this and blah 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 blah. I would need to think about it a bit longer, but I wrote it down here on a piece of paper, and I think I will think about it a bit more. I was then reading books came also to my mind, but then I was also thinking, it doesn't necessarily is low sugar practice. I would say, like, it's very, very beneficial to read books. Like, it's very good because it's also something that happens to your mind, like, because books are just long. Yeah, it takes long to read them, and it's definitely an antidote to all this like quickness, all this 5-minute read here, 5-minute read here of like articles in a newspaper or short videos online or something like this. Like to spend time with things that taking a long time, but I'm not so sure if it is actually fitting into this low sugar practice category. It can be things that are difficult to go through, like very technical books, you know, but I can also read long form things that are just very nice to read, like belletristic, like novels that are also very enjoyable. But it's definitely a skill as well. It would be a low sugar practice thing to read books that are very technical and very difficult to understand, and there where I maybe even need to research, how does this mean? I don't understand, like I need to go into other things and blah 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 blah, and I don't understand, this book is so difficult. But again, like I don't know if there is the low sugar practice that everyone should do besides this choosing the right things to do when there are several things to do. But as I said, I will think about it a bit more, and maybe something comes up. And anyway, I will work on the text a bit more with all the things that have been now said, like several things came into my mind, and I think I will implement some things into this low sugar practice text. Yeah, and if anyone that is listening to this has more thoughts, I'm also very happy if you send them to me. Because it is a big topic, and one human being definitely lacks the ability to see through this jungle alone. So that's why it is very important for me to talk with other people about this idea. Good. Thanks for everyone.
Thanks a lot. This was really nice.
Yeah, thank you very much for discussing this topic. Very, very nice. It's very likely that next week is the next open discussion meeting, and with a different topic, also a big topic that I want to talk about, that I will publish through the newsletter again. All right, good. So have a great day, everyone, and thank you for
Have a nice
attending.
day, and see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.